Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to look at today is if you're that guy who's struggling to break 90, looking to shoot around bogey golf, and you're making silly errors around the greens, how we can eliminate them and really improve your game. And we're just going to play some shots around the green. We're going to go through some simple ideas that I think if you get right, you'll probably save somewhere between 3 and 4 shots around. And you can use these ideas. We're looking at it probably from being 15, 20 yards off the green, but you can take these ideas back to probably 50, 60 yards to use the ideas. Now we're out here, it's a little bit blustery, but it's a sort of a winter's day. The green's reasonably receptive, and I want you to go out this time of year and use these times to get the idea of the shot. And understand, if we can eliminate what I call the stupid errors, it makes amazing difference to your game, and it'll create confidence, and it's amazing how your game will move forward. So what do I see a lot around the greens? I see in this situation here, what do we got? We've got around about, from us to the flag, is around about 30 yards, 25, 30 yards. We've got, let's pace it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yards or so, 8 paces or so of slightly indifferent grass, which you get this time of year. And here's our number one safety factor. If you can do it, always look to land the ball on the green. Now the reason for that is simply one thing. The green should be the best surface on the course. So if you can land it on the green, you'd expect to get the most consistent bounce. So that's the reason why you do it. So that's your number one safety factor. If you only learn one thing today, can you start to create a technique when you look at these different shots and you can start to land the ball on the green? And why this is important as you do it through the winter is that when you get into the summer, if the greenkeeper's doing his job and he's able to water those greens, the green will be receptive. I see a lot of people go, oh, you can't stop the ball on the green. The only way the ball will stop on the green, you have to land it first bounce on the green. If you land it short and has 2 or 3 bounces, all the spin will be taken off that ball. It hits hard ground, it will run the other side of the green. Okay? So that's our number one thing. That's the one thing, as I'm going to play 2 or 3 different shots around this green, I want you to make sure that's the most important thing. And now it's about your technique. It's about you understanding the shot. Now, what we've got here is a shot, as I said, we've got about 30 yards to the hole. We've got 8 yards or so to get onto the green. So that means we've got probably 60 feet of green to work with. And here's taking that safety factor to the next level. Land the ball a minimum of 2 paces on the green. Okay, that's the key thing. I call it my 2-step rule. At least land the ball, let's wander up, at least 2 steps onto the green. Now the reason why I do this, and especially later when we have maybe a little bit less green to work with, is you're a human being, you will not hit every shot perfectly. So if you underhit by a pace, you're still going to land on the green. But in this case, because we've got so much green, I can land the ball a lot further onto the green. We're not saying to you land it 2 paces on and that's your target. If you can land it further on, again, that gives you a lot more room for error. And that's all we're doing here, is reducing the chance that the errors that you're going to make are going to be eliminated. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now, here's the next bit, experience of playing the shot. Golf, well, life is all about experiences, but golf is understanding what you can do. What's the simplest way to play the shot? So I'm just looking at this. I've got my standard pitching wedge. So I'll have a club here with around about 44, 45 degrees of loft. I'm looking to play a shot that I'm going to land, as I said, at least 2 paces on. On this case, I'm probably going to land it a good half a dozen paces on. And I'm just looking to play the shot, pop it forward, not particularly high, the ball, and the ball run down the green. And that's run down nicely to around about 2 feet from the hole. Now that's my experience, that's what I've done. Now what we're going to show you is things I see golfers do. Straight away, they get near the green and they do one of 2 things. And the most common mistake is, let me grab it, they'll grab the most lofted club they've got in their bag. They'll think, oh, I want to look like Phil Mickelson. I want to grab a lob wedge and I want to flip it up in the air and look how great I am. And here's our biggest error. What we see then is they aim the club up, they open the stance, they get the ball forward, and then they lean back, and then, oh, they top it, and the ball's running off the other side of the green, or a thin it, even worse, I'll be right in the trees. And now the problem is I'm in a worse situation than I was when I was here. So a situation where, if we look a little bit at my data, we want to get this down in 3 shots to break that 90. All of a sudden now I've put it over the green, I've got a much tougher shot. The best I'm probably going to do now is get down in 4, but I'm probably now going to get down in 5. So there you go. One of those shots around goes over the green into thicker rough straight away. From a position I want to get down in 3, I'm probably going to get down in 4 or 5. Now if it takes me 5, there's, as I said, 2 of our 4 shots I see the guy struggling to break 90 doing around the green. Okay, so the biggest thing you can see there, when I stand with a lob wedge, and what my brain is saying is thinking, right, I want to get more power. Look at my stance, I'm getting bigger, more powerful. And physically what happens then if I get that and I lean back, oh, look at it go, and now I really am in the trees. Mickelson will only play that shot when he physically has to, and he's got very little green to go to work with, or he's got to go over something. But if you watch the great chippers of the ball, what they do, and this is a really important thing, they're not looking for ridiculous backspin. They're trying to understand the roll of the ball. And they know if they play the shot correctly and they get it right, if they can land it in a certain way and just let the ball roll out, there's a much greater chance they've got control of the ball. So, ditch the lob wedge in this particular shot. We may look at a shot later and we may say this is the right club. Okay, but here's the good news. We're going to talk about some technique that if we play a shot with this later, the technique we're going to show you now will work with this club. But don't play the Phil Mickelson shot. Don't play that, as we call it, the sort of parachute shot where it goes way up in the air, comes down, because straight away, the best I'm going to do there, even if I hit the best chip in the world, I might get down in 4 from the original position, but more likely to be down in 5. So that's a massive error. So let's go back to the wedge. Let's talk about technique and let's get it right. So you saw my shot earlier, ended up 2 feet from the hole, and it was simple. And all I want you to think about is the first thing. So again, a little bit of a safety factor. We've talked about land it on the green. Here's my second safety factor. If you were going to throw a ball to that hole, what would you do? And I bet you wouldn't stand there and go, oh, lug it up there. You get a ball, and from here, you just think, I've just got to get it onto that green and get it rolling. Okay? Now, worst case scenario, if I did that, I'm within 15, 18 feet of the hole. If you're playing regularly, I'd expect you to 2-putt that. So you've got down in 3. And that's okay. So if that's how you see the shot, so how you throw it is how you naturally see it, think that's how I want to play the shot. Start to think that way. That's really important. So, pitching wedge. Again, my stance was narrow when I threw that ball. Narrow your stance when you're pitching. Really important to do that. 2, it felt like I could swing my arm down the line I wanted to go. Get my body in a position where, again, I can swing my arms along the line I want to go. I see people standing, I've been told to have an open stance, and they're like this. Well, my body's aiming over there now towards the 3rd tee. I want to hit the ball there. I've got to now manipulate that. They're all things that are probably going to help you to miss-hit the ball. And if you're miss-hitting the ball consistently, I know that sounds a bit strange what I'm saying, you have no idea what the power is, because every now and again you will connect correctly and it'll pop up in the air lovely, but you now probably haven't got the right length of swing, because deep down, if you're hitting it inconsistently, you have no idea what to do. So look at what we're doing. We want to keep those arms and the club swinging along the line we want to go. So body-wise, we don't need a big open stance, okay? We want this narrow stance. I want the ball, I'm going to bring it round to this position. I want the ball central in my stance, maybe a little bit back in my stance, but never off the front foot. What's that going to do? Bring the club up. You're going to top it. You're going to thin it. It doesn't work. It's a massive error. That's not a safety factor. That's an error. Safety factor is, I've got my microphone in the middle of my top. I want that at least in line with the ball. I'd like to sit at the front of the ball. And what that does, it just keeps the handle at the front of the ball. That means I've got more of a chance of hitting the ball first rather than the ground first. So we're winning. That's the key thing. Narrow the stance. That feels like I'm going to put less power in. I've taken a more powerful club. I can put less power in. So look at all these things. If I get this wrong, it's not going to be a disaster. So our safety factors, I'm going to keep going through them. Number 1, land it on the green. Number 2, think about if you threw the ball, what would you do? Number 3, in our stance, make sure the ball, middle to slightly back in your stance, hands favouring the front of the ball. Again, this is another one of my videos. Don't suddenly think, oh, David said I've got to have my hands ahead and get here. That's not what I'm saying. Favour the front of the ball. Keep it simple. Okay, the narrow stance for less power. but I've chosen a pitching wedge. If I hit this correctly, I can hit it 100 yards. I'm looking to go 30. So now just feel what would be a 30-yard swing. And just feel the arms swinging back and forth, nice and smooth. Let the club reach the bottom of the arc. Ball pops forward. It's running down the green. What's the result I want? Well, if I'm going to break 90, anything really inside 15 feet would be really good. That ball's probably ended up about a flagstick, so about 6-7 feet. But you can see how simple that is. I'm not making this hard. And you'll see when we create slightly what look harder shots, we're not going to make the technique harder, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. So this is all about getting you away from those massive errors that can take 4 or 5 shots from down on the edge green. You've played a par 3, you've hit it to here in 1, you shouldn't be writing worse than a 4 down on your scorecard. All of a sudden now there's a great opportunity. If I get the lob wedge out and thin it across the other side of the green, I'm going to be writing a 5 or a 6 on my scorecard. We don't want that. 4s don't end up, you won't score badly. Okay, if you can play every par 3 and get 4s on those holes, you've only taken 16 shots for 4 holes. Okay, let's do one more simple thing. So mentally land it on the green. 2, what I'm thinking about is how if I threw the ball, what would I do? I wouldn't throw it way up in the air. I don't need to. Keep it simple. From there, narrow stance like throwing the ball. Put it in a position where the arms can swing along the line I want to go, and the ball favouring the middle back of my stance. And then just go with your experience of what you think. Don't need to help the ball up, just pop the ball forward. See the ball running forward. And again, we're around that, probably 10 feet away from the hole. Really happy with those shots. So I've kept that simple, and that's probably the most simplest shot we can give you. So let's create a couple of slightly tougher ones. Maybe create one of those ones where we've hit the ball over the back of the green, and think, well, what would I do there to make sure I don't compound the error? So here's where our ball ended up from one of those poor shots. One of those ones where I tried to take the lob wedge, I leant back, I thinned it across the green, and we've gone off the back of the green. And what have we got? So let's pace it out. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paces to the green. We've got our 2-step rule, so another 2 paces on, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So we're looking at a 14 pace shot. Half of it is trouble, half of it is green. But here's the most important thing, all right, on this particular shot. We've got our safety factor to land it on the green. What would be a good result? Well, from this position, if you're shooting 90, down in 3 is good. I know you'll be looking at it, oh, I've just thinned it here, I want to get it down in 2. Don't compound the problem. Just look at it and think, every shot we're giving you today, if you can get down in 3, you are doing fine. That's really important to understand. So even if we've mishit the shot, just reset the brain. Don't compound the problem. Just look at it and go, right, get down in 3 from here. So what would be a good shot? What I would look at as a golfer would be a good result? Well, 20 feet is the average 2-putt for somebody playing off about 18. Now, we'd like to be a little bit closer than that. So even if we said 10 feet, but here's the golden rule. When you've got a shot like this, where half of the shot is trouble, half the shot is green, you can go past the flag. It's not the end of the world to go past the flag. And we use a word in golf. I'm actually going to probably do a video on really bad words in golf. And this is one of them. And we call it the approach shot. Now, if you think about approaching something, what do? You gradually, it's like me approaching the camera. You gradually make your way towards the camera. It's like approaching an animal, a dog. You sort of gingerly find your way there. So you gradually make your way there. And that's what we do in golf. Golfers are scared to go past the flag. Okay, there's nothing bad past this flag. We showed you earlier, I've got probably 50, 60 feet of green. And I will guarantee most of you playing at this level, you're going to be doing better with a putter in your hand than you are with a chipping club. So that's the key thing. So don't be scared to go past. Past is good. Reach the hole rather than approach the hole. Reach it, reach it, reach it. Tell yourself, I must reach the hole. Because if it reaches the hole, you get it online, you never know, it could go in. So now what we've got to look at is what's the shot from my experience that I can play. Now, I could take the lob wedge again. And I'm on a little bit of a downhill lie, but what I see the guys do again, they'll go the wide stance, they're back here, and oh, guess what? I'm back where I was. Okay? So now we've got other clubs. I could take my pitching wedge. But what we know with the pitching wedge is the chances are it's probably going to run a little bit too far past the hole. But if you're confident with it, it's the right club for you. Get it on the green. 20 feet is okay. So all I'm going to do is pick a club in between. I'm going to go to my gap wedge. Okay, and guess what? I'm going to do all the other safety factors again. I'm going to make sure I think about it. If I was going to throw this ball, what would I do? Well, I'd go a little bit higher because I've got less green to work with. But there's my 2 paces on, and that ball's ended up okay. But here's the good news. I've chosen a club with more loft. So that's what's going to give me the height. But I'm going to do the same thing again. I didn't look to sort of get here and power it. It was a nice underarm throw. So what am I going to do in my stance? Narrow. I'm going to play the ball middle to slightly back in my stance. I'm not changing what I did with the wedge off the front of the green. So see how simple this is getting because I'm not changing my technique. And that's what I see. The higher the handicap, it looks like the more techniques you're trying to develop. The lower the handicap, the less techniques they have, the more they work on them, the more they become consistent and they become better. They just change the club. So, 2-step rule, land it on, but I'm going to look at this and think 3 or 4 on. Okay, green's quite receptive and I'm not worried if I go a little bit past. Okay, anything like this, get it out of your way. A little twig there, what we call a loose impediment, move it out of the way. So, narrow stance, I want to swing my arms down the line, I want to go, I'm trusting the loft. Knocked it on nicely, and I've probably gone 12 feet past. So, if you look at that and think, I don't want myself to do that, I want a better skill than that, go and practice it more, okay? But I was happy with the shot. I did what I wanted. I landed it on the green. Bit more practice, I can get it a little bit closer. But narrow stance, swing it down the line. There's the result. And on this occasion, we've now got it within 2 or 3 feet of the hole. So you can see we're keeping the consistency of what we're doing. We're not compounding the problem, making the error keep getting worse and worse. We're simplifying it. Okay, let's create one more shot, just a random shot, anywhere around the green. We'll just chuck a ball down, we'll have a look at it and see what we've done. I'll tell you what, let's go and play a shot as if I have ended up in the trees. So here's our third shot. We've brought the ball into the trees. As I said, we're playing this par 3, we've pulled the tee shot, goal, I want to break 90. I need to get out of here with a 4. I don't need to be clever. Don't try and do something ridiculous. Keep it simple. Now, this is a little bit different, this shot, because we may have to go away from my 2-step rule. And the reason being, hopefully you can see if I walk down, I'm walking down quite a severe slope. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 paces to the green. And everything's downhill. I think that's really important to understand. Even as we get here, 1, 2, there's my 2 steps. It's going to land on a downhill bit. 3, 4, 5, we're getting up to here. We're now sort of another 5 or 6 paces onto the green. It's now starting to level off. Okay, and we're going to talk about other things in a minute that could be a problem. But actually, this is really important that when you play the shot, don't just look at what's between you and the hole. I want to be at least inside 20 feet. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 paces of green to play with. So we're looking only really, realistically, 15 feet of green there behind the hole. And because I'm a human being and I might overhit it, I want to think, well, I don't really want to go more than 10 feet past the hole on this shot. So I'm just analysing the shot, analysing the hole and what I can do. Now, here's some good news. If you play a shot and you land on a downhill slope, it will generally make your ball jump forward. So it will run down this slope. If this was the middle of summer and this was burnt to a cinder, I'd probably be saying to some of my lessons, take a putter. And as long as you can get it within that 15 feet or less, you've done the job. Keep it as simple as you can. So very easy here, again, to think, I want to get it up in the air. I've got his 2-step rule. I must land it on the green. This is one where we may say, look, we had our safety factors. On this occasion, we may not be able to do that. And the reason being, if I want to get the ball up and stop it on that downslope, I might start to come up towards where all these bits of the tree are. And again, if I hit that and it drops down, it's just a wasted shot. So use your imagination. We're going back to safety factor number 2. Throw the ball, okay? And this is something I would encourage you to do as well. And golf courses now, don't do this if you've got 3 ball on the tee behind you. You go out late one evening, there's nobody on the golf course. Throw a ball. Just take a ball, throw it. It's all learning the shot. People say, oh, you can't do that in a round. 100% you can't. but you're out here to learn the shot. My job is to make you better, get your imagination working. Take that ball. What would you do? You wouldn't throw it up there. You think, well, if I land it just short, how's it going to run down? What do I want? And look at that ball rolling down the hill. And that's rolled down probably within a putter's length, 3 feet. So straight away, by understanding how that ball is hitting the downslope and shooting, I don't want to go high. So I'm not even going to go gap wedge. Okay, I'm going to go 8-iron. And I'm now realizing I can land this off the green because the slope is going to help me. I'm going to hit that downslope and it's going to run. But again, we don't talk about these shots. We try to give you the technique for the perfect shot. But how often do you have the perfect shot in front of you? Very, very rarely. So 8-iron, safety factors. What am I going to do? I did a narrow stance to throw that ball, so narrow the stance up. I'm going to make this like a putter. So I'm going to go down the grip a little bit. But again, if you've watched my other videos, go with your posture to feel that and then let your arms hang to where you want. So on this particular shot, because the ball is fractionally above my feet, I'm gripping nearly down, not quite onto the steel shaft, but I'm getting close to it when I bring that hand in. Okay, that's okay. All right, the only thing I would say this time of year, if you've got a lot of clubs sticking out here, just make sure, like me, might have a little bit of a stomach, make sure it's not catching your clothes or your stomach, which obviously could affect the shot. So if that is the case, go to a 9-iron or something that's a bit shorter. Now, middle to back in my stance. And again, I want that feeling. My arms are just swinging down the line I want to go. Very, very simple. Like I was underarm throwing. Body's nice and parallel. Pop it forward. Now, when I hit that, I thought that was way, way too soft. It probably landed a good 4 paces short of the green. It's rolled up to, I'd say, 8 feet. Comfortably inside our area. But look how simple I'm keeping it. The bigger the swing, the bigger the error. Okay, keep it simple, keep it really simple. There, just a little 8-iron. I'm going to learn from that last one. Popped it forward, and that's the biggest thing I want you to do when you're playing these shots. Learn every time. Every shot you play is a learning experience. Okay, because if you play it correctly, log it in the memory bank for next time. If you play it incorrectly, work out how you can improve it. But hopefully what you can see through the 3 shots we've played, we've kept it simple. We've used 3 different clubs, 3 different shots, but let's go through our safety factors. Number 1, if you can do it, always look to land the ball on the green. In this situation, because of the fact we had very little green behind, it was all downhill, the grass is cut short, we didn't need to do that. But the other 2 shots we did. And land it at least 2 steps on if you can. Okay, number 2, safety factor. Imagine throwing a ball. What would you do? Would you throw it high? Would you throw it low? I'd say 90% time people would throw it low. So keep it to that simplest form and then choose the club to fit that. And then using what you did when you were throwing that ball, think about what you did. Did you have that big stance? No. Underarm through, narrow stance, and narrow the stance down. 2, you just create a position where your arm could throw. Create a position with your body where now the arms can swing down the line. With that narrow stance, and to get the contact on the ball, just favour the hands at the front of the ball. So the ball middle to back in your stance slightly. Because it's such a narrow stance, that only means you're going to be an inch or 2 back in your stance. And then just pop it forward. And don't be scared on your shots to think to yourself, right, I want to reach the hole. Okay, on this occasion, because we said there's trouble, you might err on the air of cautious. But all of those balls, the throw and the 3 shots, are all inside 10 feet. And hopefully what you've seen, we've made it very simple, but we can get rid of those errors. And I think on average, somebody shooting around that 90 number, 92, 93, you're probably wasting up to 4 or 5 shots around on these types of shots because you're thinning it over the back or you're fluffing in front of you. Keep it simple and those errors will disappear. You'll have a lot more fun in what you're doing. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's all about your short game. It's getting those numbers down, okay? Starting to get you breaking 90. That's really important for me. Get those scores down. If you have enjoyed it, please share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and press that little bell which gives you notifications. Every week I send out 2 videos on different things, all to do with your mental approach, your golf on the golf course and your technique.